All right, we're rolling.
Cool.
Deezy, I know I just said it, but thank you for coming here.
No problem, bro. I'm glad to be here.
Is this the first time that you're back in Kent since you graduated?
Oh, no. I came back once, I believe, yeah. For, you know Matt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I came back for his video. That was the first time I came back. This is my second.
So did you graduate? When did you graduate?
In May.
In May?
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I interviewed Matt right after that, and that's actually how I found out about you.
Oh, really?
I was like, he was saying that he had the panner in the video.
Yeah.
And that was you.
Yeah, that was fire.
How was working on that project?
It was fire. Actually, it was. He called me, and it was just like, I just want you to be a part of this, and it was just so random actually. And I went and I came to Akron and we did it. I seen a couple of people that I already knew because I didn't know who was gonna be there. I just know he told me to come, and Zion was there, Jr. and his girl Savannah, and it was a cool experience. And like just meeting like some of the other people, it was cool.
It was the video was just. It was mind blowing. Like we talked about it in the podcast I did with Matt, but like it was choreographed so well.
Yeah, definitely.
And like Gabe killed it with his cinematography.
Yeah, it was
thing.
fire.
Did you know Gabe before that?
No, I didn't know Gabe. I've seen him, or like I knew of him from like Alex and Matt and all those people, but I didn't actually know who he was. I followed him on Instagram though. Like we followed each other, and then we like actually met like in person that day, so that was cool too.
Fire. So you paint a lot for the people who are listening and don't know who you are. And you graduated from Kent State with, was it fashion design?
Yeah, Bachelor of Arts in fashion design.
When did you start? It seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of your focus right now is primarily on painting.
Yeah.
When was this sort of switch, if there was ever a switch, from like clothing to being, okay, I'm really painting?
Yeah, so I say during quarantine. During quarantine. It was just, I had to keep myself occupied. I mean, we were in Florence, Italy for like my study abroad program, and that stopped. They sent everybody home. And we were still like having classes, but it wasn't as serious. Nobody knew like how to, take classes. It was like the way it was constructed was just all crazy. So I kind of just needed some other way to occupy myself since I wasn't like sewing anything. We were still like making designs and like using Photoshop and everything, but it wasn't like, I wasn't as motivated as I like usually was. So just making art came about, and at first it was just like I was just doing it for fun. It was like I just liked doing it, and then I started posting a couple things like online, and that started getting traction. So from there, I just kept on with it.
Kept rolling.
Yeah.
What was the medium that you're primarily like using? Obviously painting, but were you doing acrylic? Was it digital painting? Was it like?
At first, it started off. At first, it was strictly digital. I started off on Photoshop. I started off on Photoshop, and from there, it went to Procreate. And I learned how to paint from like Photoshop and Procreate. It was just like I learned how to paint from like layering colors like digitally. Yeah. So I don't know. It was just easy. It was just easy to like transition from like digital work to like more traditional like painting. So like mostly with like all my paintings is acrylic paint and pastels, like oil pastels.
What was going through your head when you were starting to enjoy it a lot more? Like what was the thought process there?
Yeah. So at first, like I said, I just liked doing it, and that was from like I started posting some things, and it started gaining traction, and then it took like you can see in my art, like if you like on my Twitter and things like that, if you like scroll down, you can see like it was like a drastic change and like the way I was like creating work. So at first it was just things like I was recreating like pictures of like rappers, singers, things like that. And then I started to like actually like love art instead of like just liking, like making like cool things. So I started to actually like gain a love for it. And that's when I started creating these paintings of like Black experience and me just like depicting us in this like beautiful way. So it went from me just making stuff that I thought was like cool to like me actually making something that was like super like meaningful for me and like people like me.
You're one of the only people that I've seen make this sort of switch from a digital almost like almost fan art sort of thing. I noticed a lot of people get into it, into making any sort of artwork in that way, but I just don't see a lot of people make this jump from
it's crazy.
like making that stuff and then all of a sudden making serious work. Which that's what really fascinated me about you when I first like went onto your Instagram and I could see that transition. I was like, that's interesting in its own right. Because it was pretty quick. And now the work is, I mean, it's legitimate. It's good.
It was just I wanted to take it to the next step. Because I didn't want to get stuck in that cycle of like, I don't know, creating for other people. Because that's what I felt like I was doing. Like after a while, I was just creating stuff that I knew people would like. So like, if like, how can I say it? So you know how Drake just dropped the album? It would be me creating something that was related to that. And I didn't want to like fall through that cycle. So I started to do stuff that was like more meaningful, like for myself.
Definitely. I just don't see a lot of people escaping that cycle, and it's just fascinating. I mean, that is totally like what you just described. It's Kanye releases something, I'm gonna draw like Donda fan art for like 3 weeks, and that's gonna give me 2,000 followers or whatever, and then just the cycle never ends, and it's just sort of like fan art that you wonder if it could be more, and then usually I'm just left wondering, but with you, there's actually a continuation that was interesting. So when you first began to approach it in a different sense, what was you say that you're depicting Black experience? Was that it immediately was like an epiphany, like I'm gonna do this, or was this a process to get there of like that's what I'm gonna?
I think it was immediate. Because like I said, it was meaningful to me, so it was kind of easy to transition into painting that way because I don't know, it's really just like me painting like my experiences or people like me, just like kids in my neighborhood or myself or just family members. It's easy to create work in that way because I'm so used to seeing it or like hearing about it. So it was a easy transition, really.
Yeah, you're depicting the world around you and your experiences, definitely. Which it's interesting. A lot of artists will say similar things, but the way that you do it is really specific to you. Like I just haven't seen things like that. I notice your eyes of your characters are very distinct, very simple, but like very distinct and good.
Definitely. And okay, so at first, it was a point where I was doing digital work and I wanted to transition to like more traditional work, but I didn't think I could paint. It was like kind of like that fear of like not knowing like will it look good, like, but like with anything, like it's the first time for everything, so you have to like go through the motions to get to where you want to be. But so like when I first thought of like doing it, it was kind of hard to like switch over, like because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know if I could paint. But once I started and I used the same method that I did how I was like working in Photoshop, like just like layering colors, it became like super easy. So that was like right off the back, like what I kept wanting to do, because I just made one painting first, and it wasn't a thing where it was like I made this one painting and I was gonna paint like forever. I thought that I would continue to do both. Mm-hmm. But once I made that first painting, I just stopped doing digital work completely. And like you said, the eyes are like super distinctive, and that was, to me, like that was super important for me, because like you can see in my earlier works, I didn't do faces at all. Well, I didn't do eyes at all. I didn't do like anything involving the face. It was just like a head. And I used to do just like a zigzag line over the face, which was like my own thing. But I did that because I didn't know if I could make like a face like good, which is why like everything now is like super focused on like face and hair. So like that's why I stick to that now.
Yeah, it feels like your latest work is a lot more focused on just the characters, mm-hmm. and less about the necessarily the environment of what's going on.
Yeah,
like your I don't know the title of it, but the latest thing that you just had up in a show. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah,
like that was just
World on My Shoulders.
Was that a father and a son,
mm-hmm.
or a?
Yep.
Yeah, that was very striking.
Yeah,
very good.
Definitely, thank you.
I saw it sold too.
Yeah, so the gallery opened at 9:00 that day, mm-hmm. and 6:00. Opened at 6:00 that day. I got there around 6:40, and it had a red sticker on it. So I went to ask the lady like what the red sticker meant. And she told me it meant that it was sold.
That's
so I was like, that's fire. Yeah.
It's so fire you didn't know too.
And I didn't know what it meant.
Her so innocently.
It was
because I feel
crazy.
Like so many times it's like,
because I didn't know
mine has the red sticker.
Yeah, like I didn't know if it was sale. Like when I took it there, it was just like me being happy that I had work like
in the place.
Yeah, in my own city at that. So that was just my win right off the back, but it's selling in 30 minutes. That was just a plus, and it was like, this is real. Like, I'm like a actual artist, so because it still don't hit me, like, it still don't hit me that I'm an actual artist, but like, from time to time,
it seeps in a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm actually good at this, so that's cool.
That's like, it must have been so. You don't ever need to be validated, mm-hmm. but something like that you'd never asked for and you didn't even know was sort of in the potential thing, mm-hmm. in it, or a potential happening. Like the work selling so fast, that must feel incredibly validating. Yeah, definitely. Because, like I said, this was never a plan. Like it happened during quarantine. It was just like I wanted to do something to like consume my time. So. Yeah. This whole like transition or whatever is like, it's crazy for real. And to be like, cause I'm still heavily into like fashion design. Like I'm still, like I guess that's still my career. Yeah. Like I'm an actual fashion designer with a degree and everything, and hopefully like working soon like in the fashion industry. So like being like legit artist too is just a crazy like combination of like both worlds. Yeah, like you have something really good going on top of another really good thing, which is that's great. Yeah. What type of fashion design work are you doing right now, or if any?
Right now, nothing. I'm actually just like job searching, and I have like 3 or 4 interviews lined up that I'm still like in the process of talking to companies and things like that. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, could be even tomorrow, I can get hired. Yeah. So like, it's just crazy to think like I can get hired for a job tomorrow and still be like a whole artist. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Like, you'll have a source of income for something that you already enjoy doing, and then you like. Do you feel full in a way? Like your life do you feel whole? Like
because I mean, part of it is With art, yeah, but not having that, I guess, job right off the back, like in the fashion industry, was kind of hit me. Like, I went to school for this, like this many years, and I did crazy amount of work, like in school, like, because our program is like super competitive. So
it's serious.
Yeah. So, yeah, not getting a job right off the back off graduation, that kind of hit me. But like, it's always this thing where like, well, I was just always told, like, especially like by my uncle, he always tells me like it's not gonna happen overnight. Especially like with corporate jobs and like getting in the industry now, it's kind of hard to do when it's not like you don't have any like immediate connections. Cause I know a couple people, but it's not like I don't have a direct connection like
into that fashion.
Yeah, into the fashion industry. Yeah. So that's probably the only thing I can say that's like missing right now, because like that's still like, I don't even know if it's number one, but I can say like both like tied at number one, like within my interest in life. So when that happens, it'll all be complete.
I love that. Do you find that those are sort of conflicting parts of you, like a fashion designer you and an artist you, or are those like in a state of synergy all the time?
I feel like it's crazy because I actually, when it comes to like working within those two fields, I don't think about the other one. Mm-hmm. I will probably now, more so that like I'm like heavily into art now. But like a couple months ago, like when I was like trying to finish up graduating and everything, it was always just like, when I'm doing this, it's solely this, and when I'm doing art, it's just solely this. So they don't really conflict at all, honestly. But I feel like both of them, like over time, starting to merge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of like my color palette, a lot of designs when I'm working like within fashion are similar to like my art. And yeah, I just feel like over time they're just gonna completely like merge, which is crazy. But yeah, no, they don't conflict at all.
Yeah, that's gonna be ridiculous when they merge. It's gonna be great. I mean, you just mentioned your color palette, which is like totally something I wanted to bring out. Mm-hmm. It's very distinct. Yeah. These sort of light blues, the types of browns that you're using. Mm-hmm. You use black, just straight black for the eyes, it seems. Definitely. Things like that. That's what really comes out of the work. And I saw on Instagram once you had like responded to a question maybe, or just put a story up. You mentioned that you thought heavily about all of this.
Yeah.
So, and you also I think mentioned that fashion design school, with its approach to you're thinking about color all the time. They have you think about color story, blah blah blah. They're always mentioning this stuff. Where did those colors come from?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it just over time, because I worked a lot with like super bright colors, that over time I feel like I just started to appreciate the other colors more, like these muted, like desaturated colors. Over time I just started to, I don't know, because like even when like working on Photoshop, like a lot of the time you see like in my older works, it was just a lot of like bright reds and just a lot of colors that were like completely opposite to what I do now. So I think over time I just started to, I don't know, gain the love for stuff that was like overlooked, I guess.
Yeah.
Overlooked for me.
For you personally. Yeah. I think when artists decide on, like when artists use a desaturated color palette, it lets the, I find that, yes, it's enjoyable aesthetically, but it works really well when you're doing something that has what feels like a narrative going on in your work.
Definitely.
I think it really complements your work, because I find that you're looking at a story just as much as you're actually like taking in a visual experience.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. definitely. And I felt like having these, I guess, soft colors surrounding something that was like super powerful, which was the characters. So I feel like it was a perfect balance of like those two things, which like helped my work a lot.
Yeah, I would definitely agree for sure. I think it's you are making very, very powerful images. That was I think what like really drew me to the work initially too, is just it's striking. It's like archaic. I don't know. It feels like it's like the ancient humans depicting like how they lived, and now you're depicting how you live in the most simple way.
Exactly.
But you say so little, but are saying so much.
Exactly. And it's crazy because in my it's like my graduate portfolio. I have this like collection on London Graduate Fashion Week digital portfolio, and I say that exactly. Like I'm trying to say a lot without just, I guess, blabbering you with words. I just want to keep it simple, but at the same time say a lot like within that. So yeah, it's crazy that you say that.
Yeah, in some way you're trying to say something without saying anything.
Exactly.
Which is, I think, a really those sorts of works that aren't necessarily extremely in your face, but are something that you can digest. I find them so much more moving in a way because they sort of, I don't know. For me, the work just rolls over me better. I don't like the intellectualism of like what I'm actually thinking sort of gets avoided, and I just feel it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I think that would be like the best way for me to put it. But
yeah, I just didn't want to. For me, I didn't want to feel like I was overdoing it or like forcing you to pay attention. It was just, I don't know, I was doing it in the simplest way for me, but it meant a lot. Like, I guess that's the easiest way for me to say it. It meant a lot for me, but I don't want to force anyone to feel like they had to pay attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is like totally the hardest way to go about it. But that's fire. How big are your pieces?
So the biggest one is 36 by 48, which is small for me. Like now, cause I think I've done 3, and I'm working on one right now, which is a 36 by 48. So those are like super small to me now, but when I first did them, it was like, bro, this is crazy. Like these, like I'm working on like huge paintings, because at first, like the first painting I ever did, which was the Laundry Day painting, that was 18 by 24, which is like this big. So over time, I went up to a 30 by 30. No, I went up to a 24 by 24. Because like I go up like each time I do a painting, and now I just capped out at 36 by 48 because honestly I don't have the space to like get any bigger. Yeah, but like I want to go to that next step to do like 72 by 72 or like some crazy big, but I'm just waiting to get a bigger space. But like 36 by 48 is my biggest one. Which currently.
Is still like it's a good size artwork.
Yeah, it looks great like in places for sure.
Definitely.
And I think I have two paintings like currently with me, and I'm working on one now. But like all the rest of them are going to like collectors and things like that, which is like crazy to me to like think about like art collectors like having my work. So it's crazy.
For sure. Are you in conversation with any galleries to represent your work?
No, just one, just the Detroit Artist Market, like back home. But other than that, no, it's honestly just me by myself, and I like post, and like whatever happens from me posting just happens like organically, that's how all the collectors have like my work and stuff. It's just all from the internet, honestly.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like, definitely the traditional way is going about it. I get my gallery. That gallery sells my work for me, which is still like effective. And I was if you find a great gallery, but it's great that you're able to do it independently at the moment.
Yeah, that was like super important, like for me to get into a gallery. Like once I like transitioned from digital to like traditional like paintings, that was like my number one goal, to like get in the gallery, and that happened a couple months after. So it's crazy, like the whole feeling, everything happening so fast, because I haven't been painting for like years. I only been painting for probably October will make it a year, so 11 months. And it's like how I guess sought after my work is and like stuff like that. It's just crazy, being that it's still like super early in like my career.
Like, dude, you're just at 1 year in, and think about it. You studied fashion design for 4 years.
Yeah,
and like you're 1 year. It's like you're a freshman, man.
Exactly.
And the work is already like definitely distinct.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people struggle to make work that is distinct and feels original and is there, but you're there after a year. Yeah, which is really interesting.
And within that year, it hasn't been 30 paintings. Yeah. Everything I've done has been posted. So it's probably like 10 paintings, something like that. So it hasn't been that many at all, honestly.
Yeah. Are you looking to get, where are you making these paintings right now?
At home, in my room, like just in my room. Yeah. Yeah. So like every painting is coming from this like room, or if it's like like I said, the 36 by 48s in my garage. So it was just like all from home.
I got you.
Yeah.
Are you looking to potentially get into like a studio space or get your own studio space and
hopefully
just go ham with it?
I can get. Well, I was talking to my dad about that a couple months ago, but we haven't talked about it recently. But yeah, hopefully I can get into my own studio space, because with that, like I said, I'll be doing paintings that I really want to get into, like those large paintings, and one day eventually do a mural or something like that, which would be cool. So
yeah. The big paintings are like, I don't know, and you probably felt the same way when you bumped up to the size you're at now, but it's like the battle just becomes more intense and more unforgiving, but also so much more pleasurable at the same time. Like when you finish that piece, I'm sure it
definitely
feels amazing.
Definitely. And like just with, like I said, because like the hair and faces are like super important, I guess the larger in scale like the paintings get, the harder it is for me to like, no, I say that easier it is for me to make the faces more powerful. Because like the smaller the faces get, I get the same impact, but it's faster to do, because like it's super small. So like the faster it is to do. And like when I'm working on a face that's like super, super big, which was my biggest one was the Light Within the Madness. Like seeing it grow from like, because I don't finish paintings in one day. Like it takes probably like a week to finish a painting. So sometimes it's just like just part of the skin, like half of the skin is painted on the face, and like seeing it grow is like the best part of like the paintings for me. Which is why sometimes the paintings take so long, because I'm just sitting like just staring at it like most of the time, like for hours. So I could finish paintings faster than I do, but sometimes I just like to enjoy like the beauty of like the process.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So when you say that you are depicting the Black experience, things from your life, are these images that, these stories that you're portraying, are they immediate in your head? Like, okay, this is, like, I know I'm going to do this next. I know I'm going to do this next. Or is this something that you sit and don't know for a period of time, and then you know? Like,
yeah, so it's kind of off and on, but like most of the time, every time I finish a painting, I know which one I'm going to do next. Because it's just, sometimes it's just in my head. So like an idea could pop in my head right now, but I'm still working on 2 paintings.
Definitely.
So I jot it down, and I already know what I'm going to do after I finish those 2. So it's like a continuous cycle, like knowing what I'm going to do and just putting it down on canvas.
Definitely, because the painting process in itself, I mean, it takes a
while.
It takes a while. So it's like there's plenty of time to think in between, in passing, when you're driving your car,
exactly.
doing whatever you're
doing. And I don't work on, because I know a lot of artists like work on like multiple paintings at one time, and I haven't got to that point yet, which I don't know if I will. But yeah, every painting is started and finished, and then I work on the next one.
Definitely. Do you find that, like, obviously for the people who don't know, the Kent Fashion Program, you have to take 3 different fashion illustration classes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in your junior and senior year, you have to do even more for your classes, even though they're not drawing classes.
Yeah.
Do you find that what you learned in those classes impacts how you draw or how you paint? Or do you find that those are sort of separate?
It helps 10%. Honestly, it doesn't help that much at all for me. I guess more so on knowing like proportions of like the body. But other than that, yeah, it's just mainly proportions and like knowing what lays where. But
in that way, though, it might have helped you quite a lot. And I mean, in the proportional sense.
Yeah, in the
I think
proportional sense.
People struggle with that a lot. So when you already spent 3 years figuring that out, that definitely helps.
I wasn't that good at it.
Okay.
So I wasn't that good at it. So now it's me just like continuing with like what I wasn't that good at. So it's kind of like I'm still learning. Definitely. Because like when I did my work, it was, so I had this thing with my professor where so a lot of students could do their like figures with the garments on them. And a big part of my time, which was like my full sophomore year, I was able to do mine's like completely flat sketches. So like just garments, no figures, because that was the way I worked. I just worked in this way where I was just like super comfortable with doing it that way. And she let me do my work like that. So I'm kind of still like learning proportions, which isn't that bad to like keep learning, because at the end of the day, like the beauty of my work is the painting itself and like the paint that goes on the actual canvas, and proportions play a huge part too though. But yeah, I'm still learning every day.
Definitely. Are people yelling right now? Yeah,
a little bit.
I'm like hearing it through here.
Yeah, you can hear it a little bit.
Yeah. So you were in Florence when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy because it hit Italy. Like, it was pretty much the first Western.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Okay, so I actually got sick there. I don't know if it was COVID, but yeah, so I was there. I got sick, and my friend actually had to, so my nose was like constantly bleeding, like for some reason. And I remember it was me and my friend Parker. He had actually walked me to the hospital, and I was there for a while. And yeah, I just got sick there. I called my parents, told them everything, and like right after, like I recovered. No, actually I was sick, and the same day I went to the hospital, we went to Paris. So the same day I was sick, I actually passed out in the hospital. I passed out in the hospital on the floor. And like, okay, so because they said I was low on sugar. But, yeah, so I was dehydrated, so I asked the nurse for like some water. And she gave me water. Like right after I drank the water, like everything like started to close in, like my vision. So I passed out, and then I woke up, and the nurse was yelling at me, like not the nurse that gave me the water, but another one. And she was like, "You can't go to sleep on the floor. You can't go to sleep on the floor." And I'm like, "Bro, I passed out. I didn't go to sleep." So after I woke up and like realized, like, "Bro, what's going on?" So we go to, so I guess they gave me some sugar after that. They gave me sugar after that, and I was cool. So we went to Paris that day, and like 3 or 4 days later, I was like recovered. Everything was cool, and then that's when COVID hit, and I could see like the change like within like the area, because I was walking to class and like a lot of people just looked sick. Like you could just see it, and like so COVID hit, and for the most part I feel like they were trying to like downplay it, because it was just this thing where it was like, because nobody really knew like how serious it was, so it was just like they were telling us it's just like the flu, and it's not that serious, just make sure you're eating the right things and stuff like that. So a lot of people, and they said don't be in like large groups, but while they were telling us this, it was like 300 of us in the room, so that was just crazy in itself. And me personally, I knew it was worse than like what they were telling us, just like off my instinct, just like I don't want to be the person to like wait and see. I'm just gonna like move cautious, like just right off the bat, because they told us like right then and there, like it could be a chance that everybody is like sent home. So if you want to go home now, you can talk to your parents and like y'all can handle that part. And other than that, we're just like waiting it out and like trying to have everything be cool after a while. So I called my uncle like that day and told him like I want to come back, because like for me, I could see it. Like I could see like within like my surroundings, I could see everybody just sick, just in the face, like everybody's face, just like walking to class, like not students, but just like random people. It just looked bad, and like I wasn't used to it. So I called my uncle and I went, and like a day or two later, I got on the flight back home, and 2 days later after that, that's when they sent everybody home. Like that's when the news broke that like all study abroad students have to like come back home. So I was happy I got out of there like at the time I did. Even the people that did come home, they came home at the right time too, because like after a while they shut the borders down and everything like that. So that was crazy. But like my experience over there was a good experience for sure. Like I'd do it again.
Prior to
COVID, but I'd definitely do it again.
Yeah, Florence is a beautiful city.
Yeah,
like I've been there for like 5 days total, but it's maybe my favorite city in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
like, and you can just feel there's something here that you don't get in terms of history. Like you don't
definitely
feel like this history around you.
Yeah,
and when you're there, it is very much in
definitely influence.
Like you feel it.
Yeah,
like it's really cool. The cathedrals are insane.
Yeah, like I feel like my my favorite, I guess, place in Europe was actually Paris.
Oh, really?
But Florence is like right there. But Paris was crazy.
What'd you like about Paris?
It just felt like a high-end New York. That's what it felt like to me, because I got that mix of, like in Florence, it was super traditional.
Definitely.
So when I was in Paris, it was just like a merge of like everything. So that was just like crazy for me, just to like, because it was Europe, it was American, it was just a mix of like a lot of cultures and just like it was modern. It was crazy experience for me. So if I had to pick any place to go back, it'd definitely be Paris.
Yeah. Paris is a great city too. Did you go to any of the museums there?
Did we go to museums?
Yeah, what did you do in Paris?
So we went to a lot of trade shows. We went to a lot of trade shows out there because we had like, it was still school, so we had to go to like events. But like outside of that, we were just like walking, like traveling throughout the city, and we actually didn't even do anything like crazy. It was just like enjoying the
just being there.
Just being there. It was just crazy. So, and it was like we would leave at 12 noon and like look at the time and it's like 1 a.m. And it was just crazy. So yeah, definitely. I definitely have to go back there.
Amazing. I like how you described it, high-end New York.
Yeah, that's funny. That's definitely what it felt like.
I love New York, but I get what you're saying. Like, it's like New York, but it's been there for, like, feels like ever. Like, the history is there. It's bizarre.
Definitely.
I also like how the buildings are so much lower.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like, it makes the city way more beautiful.
Yeah. And the first thing, like, right off the bat, when I got there, was I can't remember what it was. Oh, the first like thing I remember from being over there was we were in Pizza Hut, and it was like this. I'm not sure if he was homeless. I'm guessing he was, and like the people that work there say he's always there, and he was just. I don't know. He was just like leaning up on like my friend Parker and just like, I don't know, just like invading his space like hella crazy. And it just reminded me of like being at home. You can go to the corner store and you had this one dude that's always there. So that was just, it was just crazy to see that it was like,
this is in other places.
Yeah, it's kind of like this happens everywhere. So
yeah. So I've never been to Detroit, but it's actually a city that seems really interesting to me. Yeah. It has from what I've heard, a pretty good art scene, and I think it's like Cleveland in a way that it gets so many people like shit on it and make fun of it, but then I feel like you go there and you're just impressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm like what I go to Cleveland. I love Cleveland.
Yeah. So I feel like. To me, I feel like, I feel like Chicago and Detroit are like super similar. Mm-hmm. I feel like, if it's any state, I feel like those two, city, I feel like those two are like super similar. And it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain like my city. But because I'm like so used to just being in it and like not knowing like how to just explain it, but it's definitely a great city, definitely. And like being like in Detroit, you don't think about like, okay, so you know how Michigan is the actual state.
Yeah.
Everybody from Detroit like feel as though Detroit is the state. And it's no Michigan, it's just Detroit. So
just Detroit.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I had somebody from, not to draw another parallel between Cleveland, but I had somebody from Cleveland in here and like visiting yesterday. And he was telling me about how much he just loved. He didn't find that a lot of tourists went there, but that made everybody who's from there love the city so much more. And like they own it so much. Yeah,
definitely. I feel that because that's how it. Yeah, that's definitely how it is. You know, there's not a lot of people going to Detroit just to like view the city. Yeah. But
I've heard it has a really good art museum.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like, and like at least three or four.
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy, but it's like ours. Like we don't have to worry about like outsiders and everything like that. Like people come, but it's like rare. So it's just like we hold it close to like ourselves.
Definitely. So random, but one artist I know from Detroit, I don't know him personally, is Z Loopers. He's a rapper, avant-garde, like rapper.
Really?
I don't know.
No, I've never heard of him.
Definitely check him out. Like he's from Detroit. Like definitely.
Yeah, definitely
gotta
check him out.
Yeah,
got to.
He's great. He just came out with he paints too.
Oh really?
Yeah. He just came out with a new album called I'm butchering it. It has something to do with Van Gogh though. Yeah. I'll remember it here soon. But yeah. No, cool. What was graduating the fashion program like? Like when that was coming to a close, what's rolling through your head? I mean, it is an exhausting, serious, long, very competitive, fun at the same time, program. But what was rolling through your head those last few months?
It was like, okay, you know how can I say this? It really felt like I finished a race. It was like, it really felt like I finished like a marathon because, like, in my program, well, especially for me, I remember one time so we had to buy like garments from like resale, like thrift stores, and we had to like deconstruct it and like construct our own piece from it. So it was a jacket though. You had to construct a jacket, and I finished my jacket early. Like I wanted to like finish early and just like have time to like actually just like breathe for a minute. So I finished my jacket. I turned it in to my professor, and she told me I did it wrong. So like not actually wrong because like fashion, you can break so many rules, but like the way she wanted it to be done wasn't the right way. So so we get about 3 weeks to finish a project. So that's constructing a garment, creating a whole collection, or whether that's like digitally or like by hand, and doing like a lot of extra stuff for like the collection, like building that collection. So you get about 3 weeks for that, and most of the time you don't even finish. So imagine that on top of creating that one piece that you had to do within that 3 weeks, you had to do it 2 more times. So 3 times in total. Yeah. So it was kind of like I finished three projects in the time span of one project. So that's just kind of like, and that's just in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So imagine like everything else you have to do like outside of that. So like, other classes and stuff like that. So like sometimes I'll be in the studio from 10 a.m., 12 noon, something like that, to 10 p.m. Like I would literally be in there.
Just do the 12 hours.
I would literally be in there half of my day, like every weekend. So graduating was like, bro, this is crazy. Like I really, like the work that I did was actually paid off. Like,
you earned it.
Yeah, like I actually earned it. I didn't like cut corners or like anything like that. It was just like I did everything I needed to do, and I actually did it like good. Like I didn't like just BS with it, like the process. Like it was, I actually like tried my hardest with everything. So it was crazy to graduate, and like my parents being there, and like just like my friends that some didn't graduate, some did, and just like seeing all of us just like all together like graduating, it was like crazy.
I'm sure. What did you enjoy about the program? Like, do you have any thoughts on the fashion program here?
Yeah, so like me personally, I feel like what can I say? I feel like the professors here like really are like super like knowledgeable like when it comes to what they specialize in. And they like super honest, because some teachers will tell you like say if I had a construction teacher, she would tell you like right off the bat, I don't know anything about like rendering like flats or anything like that. Like super honest with you, and it gets you to like understand that you don't have to be perfect with like every like avenue like within like fashion. Because like for me personally, I feel like I was best at like design like within like computer aided design. So like crafting, like building a collection through the computer. Mm-hmm. I wasn't as skilled as like I felt like I could be with constructing a garment. But yeah, it just made me realize like that specifically was like the best thing for me, like realizing in the grand scheme of things, like I didn't have to be like great at everything within fashion, because like I didn't go into fashion to be perfect at everything. Honestly, it was just like, I don't know. I just over time I found my own way of like doing things, so it was cool to know that like that's acceptable. Like everybody has their like own way of doing things, and it's like you can be honest about like what you're good at and like what you're not good at.
Definitely.
So that was probably like the best thing, honestly. And just like the students too, like overall, just like going through the motions like with the students, because like we all failed, we all succeeded like within like whatever we were doing. So like that was cool too.
Definitely. I think that is one of the big perks is the students. I mean, we all came here because we wanted to go to one of the best fashion schools.
Yeah.
Like definitely. The kids in the fashion program, at least, like they're really hardworking and they're serious about it, which you gotta respect. Like, having people who actually think about what they're doing a little bit is nice.
For sure, definitely. And because I came here like not knowing anybody. Mm-hmm. Like I was, so yeah, like I said, I'm from Detroit, and I didn't know anybody from Ohio like at the time. So I came here solely off like me wanting to go to like a competitive design school. So coming here and meeting people that were like super passionate about like the stuff that I was passionate about, because like in my school, like in my high school, like specifically, nobody was into design like at all. Like I was the only one like that was like interested in fashion. Like, you know, everybody is interested in like their own like personal style, but like fashion itself, like nah, like it was just me. So coming here and meeting people that were like having the same interests that I had was cool. It was a great experience.
Yeah. How was that in high school, being like the one? I found I had a really good group of friends in high school, but outside of that group of friends, it was a bit alienating for sure.
Yeah, so my school was like super small. Like my high school, it was, I don't even know how many of us it was, but it was super small. So like everybody knew everybody for the most part, and at first, like my first 3 years, I wanted to be. Well, at first, like let's see. So the first 3 years, the first 2 years I was playing basketball. So I had these dreams of like going to the NBA, but like whatever happened with that. But I wanted to be a physical therapist actually. So like I don't know how that came about, but you know, it's just one of those jobs where it's like, this sounds cool, and like you can make like decent money doing this. So, and like it's a job where you know your parents gonna be happy about it. So that was like my initial like thing. But towards like the middle of junior year and like my senior year, it was like me transitioning into like wanting to do fashion, and it was like my friends, it was just, I don't know. My friends were like my close friends. They were like, they didn't know about it, but they were cool with it. So it was just like, oh, you want to make clothes and stuff like that. But like people who didn't know anything about fashion or like the fashion that I was into, because I was heavily into like these like European designers. So I felt like I was just on a different planet from like what everybody else was on, like within fashion, well, within my school. So it was like I was that, I guess, weird kid.
Yeah.
In that space, because like I said, I played basketball, so I was pretty normal like with that. But like my interest like within fashion, it was just like, I don't know, from like even when I was like posting stuff on Instagram for like stuff that I was interested in. So like, say if a designer posts like his collection and I repost it on my story, it was just like I was that weird kid that just like all this crazy fashion, or like even stuff where it was like, say if I like some Rick Owens or like some Raf Simons pieces, and people see it that don't have any idea what that is, because like, bro, I'm in Detroit, like this is like foreign to them completely. So seeing that for them was just crazy, and like I had to get used to like people not understanding like what I was into. So
definitely,
yeah.
Did you even feel weird to yourself a little bit as that was coming? It's like, what? I really like this for some reason. Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, right. It was like, crazy, because I'd be like in my room or like just in my house in general, and like my parents would see like me watching like a fashion show, and they would even be like weirded out. No, not even weirded out, but like it was new to them. Like it was just like a completely different world, because of what my dad knows about fashion is like, at first my dad thought I was into like when I talked about fashion, he thought I was into like Rocawear or like Sean John, like stuff that rappers made. Yeah. But that wasn't what I was into. I was into like designers from across the world. Like I was into like Prada, Raf Simons, like even people here like elites like Matthew Williams, and just like stuff like that. So over time, like sometimes it would hit me like, bro, like I'm really into this, and this is like nothing nobody around me is into, even my brother. So it was just crazy. But after a while everybody started to like know these like designers, because like even in Detroit, like a lot of people wear like Raf Simons now. And like when because I had a pair of Raf Simons in 11th grade in high school, and when I came to school, it was kind of like I got quote unquote made fun of, because like it's a Stan Smith style shoe with like Velcro straps on it. So it was like a bowling, like people thought it was a bowling shoe, and I was just into design from that world. So
sorry, my contact is falling out. That's what
I know you could.
That shit just fell out. I rubbed my eye and it was like, I think it's out. But yeah, you were getting into
it was just crazy, like I guess exposing what I was into like to other people, or like them being exposed to it from like me just doing what I do. So I got used to it after a while.
Definitely. Did you make friends quick here?
Yeah, definitely. Like even my first day, like my first day here, I met Trey, this dude named Trey, just like in the bathroom. Like I was in the bathroom, and he was in the bathroom, and he's like, what? He just asked me what did I study, and I told him fashion design. And from that point, like 30, 40 minutes into me being like on campus, we were with each other the whole day. Like it's just like right off the bat, it was just like that easy. Like that whole day we were with each other, and he knew people, so by him knowing people, I got to meet more people, and it just went from there.
Yeah. That is how it works, really.
Yeah,
it's super smooth.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Did you live in the dorms?
Yeah, I lived in the first dorm I actually lived in was Verder, and like super hot right off the bat. Verder was like, it was great like when you look back at it, but like in the moment it was terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, it's the one that doesn't have air conditioning.
Yeah, it was.
It still doesn't. I think that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't have anybody living in it last year, but they do
Oh,
now.
yeah, that's true. I heard that. Yeah. But yeah, it was. I actually lived in dorms like my whole time here, but like a lot of that time I was at home because like COVID hit, and then I just stayed home. So like up until junior year, I was like in dorms most of the time in like Centennial stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I lived in Centennial B.
Yeah.
I hope that when I had all this equipment in the dorms, it just looked so crazy.
Yeah, I know it did. It had to.
It looked so stupid. Like I had the window open for a second, and then people are like looking in. It was crazy.
Yeah, I know it had to be crazy. Like, but those, well, depending on like which style room. But yeah, I know it's definitely cramped in there.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad. I don't know. I happen to be here though in the new place.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. As you look to the future, the next few months, whatever it may be, you can take it however you want.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're looking to get into? Any goals? Any like sort of direction you want to move?
Yeah, I definitely want to. Like I said, I definitely want to like start working with larger paintings or larger canvases. I want to get in more galleries, and now that I've had one in like my city, like the next goal is to get one like outside the city, while also still like doing multiple like within the city. But yeah, I want to get in a gallery outside of my city definitely, and yeah, just continue to see where it goes, because like honestly, I'm just winging everything.
Yeah.
Everything is just playing out cool. So yeah, just continue to.
It's like, what else are you supposed to do? You got to just keep trying your best and making work that you feel like you need to make.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just continue to do what I'm doing now because it's working for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like Chicago is sort of the next logical step?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Or Chicago or New York. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
New York is in a good place right now.
Yeah.
They just had the floods. That's not what I'm talking about. But like when I visited, it just felt so youthful.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
a lot of my work, like, okay, so when I was doing the digital work, a lot of my work was sold, or even from like commissions and things like that. A lot of it comes from New York, like
definitely.
Brooklyn specifically. So like, I don't know, everybody from like New York or just like that Brooklyn area, I got like a lot of love for it because like they show support from like the start. So
cool. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that you could get into like some sort of space over there.
Yeah, definitely. So
I feel like once you get plugged in, like the work is there. I think that's what can be a little bit freaky. Like when I see people who are saying things like, "Oh, I want to get my work in a place," or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like maybe the work's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But like you've got it.
Yeah.
So it's like
and
that was worry about.
That was what I started to notice. Like after a while, it was the work is there. Now I just need the exposure or like connections or whatever. But I got to the point where I knew like my work was good. And that's the same with like fashion. Like I know like my work is good. Like it's been shown on platforms that are like, super like credible. So it's just about that one person or, whatever, just getting that exposure.
For sure. What do you think interests you about art? You're able to, from me,
creating it, I'm able to tell this story without words at all. Like, no words. Like, it's just completely like a painting. So that is like super crazy for me. Or like even having people look at the work and tell me like what they get from it, that's like crazy for me. And I'm like super happy for like people to even show like interest in the work. And like for me consuming it, it's like kind of the same thing. Like I'm able to get a sense of like what the artist was like going through, or like what he felt like during that time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I enjoy most. It's just like the thought behind it.
Definitely. Do you find that it's something that is an intellectual pursuit, or is it something more of like I don't know, spiritual, if that would be the right word, or if it's like
a lot of it.
It's just not even it's not even something you're thinking about. It just needs to be said.
Yeah. And a lot of it is spiritual, but like in, I guess, that personal sense, because I feel like I create spiritual work, but it's like in my own way, because like spiritual isn't always like what we, think right off the bat. But yeah, I definitely feel like it is spiritual, and like something that just, but for like some artists, it just happens like right off the bat, like you're able to just like create. For me, to be able, like I said, know what I'm gonna do like right while I'm working on something, like right when it's finished. So yeah, definitely spiritual for sure.
Do you question where that even comes from, like inside of you? Does it feel like it's you, or does it feel like it's a separate thing saying what it needs to be said, or are you saying it?
I feel like it's me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's me, definitely. Because while even like from, because I held a lot of these paintings in my room for months, and I didn't want to let it go, because I just felt like it was me, like it was just a part of me. So I don't know, just yeah, it's
you. It's coming right from you.
It's definitely you.
Definitely. Do you sit, like, how long do you sit on the painting before you know it's done, or is it immediate, like, okay, definitely now it's done? Or
yeah. So
what's that look like for you?
Right after I finish the painting, and sometimes it takes a day, like a full day or two, to know whether it's finished. But like most of the time, I don't start a painting before I know how it's like completely finished. That may change like once I'm finished, but every time I start, I know exactly how it's gonna look like when it's finished. So right after I'm done, I'll post it the next day. But if you look at the dates, like on my art, everything is posted on Tuesday. Okay. Everything is posted on Tuesday. Like some work, like earlier works might be posted on random days, but like at least from the past 5-6 months, everything is posted on a Tuesday, which I don't know why, but it's
not purposeful.
No, it is now, but I don't know why it was a Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I guess that was just a day.
That was the cycle.
Yeah, and then now every time I'm working on something, I either finish on like a Sunday or a Monday, and I just post it on a Tuesday all the time. And even if I'm like working on something and I can finish like way before a Tuesday, like a Sunday or Monday, I just hold off and like work a little slower because I want to post on that Tuesday. So
for sure,
that's just how it works.
How do you photograph your work? You do a good job at it.
Yeah, and I actually want to get like an actual camera. Like I could actually get one like now, but I just do it on my phone. Like I take the paintings outside around I think it's noon. I like somewhere like just early in the day when like you don't catch that heavy shadow. So yeah, I just take the work outside. I lay it on the concrete, and I get like a chair. I just stand on the chair and just take the picture. So that's like super important for me because I'm not doing it like with a digital camera. So in my gallery, I probably take like 80 pictures before I find that one.
Yeah,
so
that looks right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe with as you get in more discussions with these galleries, they'll start taking photos. A lot of them can do. They try to do it because that helps them sell the work too. Mm-hmm. So definitely. They do a really good job at it. But you do a great job for doing it that way.
Thank you.
I like how you notice that the natural light looks better because it definitely does. Like it's really interesting when you pull the work out of the studio space wherever it is and you look at it in that light. It's very distinct. Like it's
because I want to get the colors like in the way that I initially like wanted them to be, because like sometimes like in the studio, because like I said, like I'm in my room or in the garage, so when the light is out you can see that the painting and the color palette that you're like using is like what you want it to be. But like once the sun goes down, it's just like, is this the, like I can't see the painting as like how I started with it, or like the initial color palette I thought in my head. So once I'm done and I take it outside, that's when I get that I guess shock value, where it's like that. Yeah, this is actually finished.
This is the painting. This is definitely done.
This is it. Yeah.
It definitely, like, I don't even know what it is, but that natural light just really brings out all the layers, brings out the colors for what they are.
Definitely.
As you're saying.
Definitely.
For sure. In the fashion space right now, is anything interesting you?
Yeah, but I just feel like I'm so right now, since everything has hit me like within the past 2 months, where art has got like super crazy. I feel like that's been like a huge focus. But like within fashion, it always comes back like randomly, being that I'm like not in the industry like right now, but it always hits me like randomly, like whether I'm scrolling down like my timeline and see like designers like showcase collections, and it's just, it sparks that interest, and I'm like forgetting about art, which is crazy. But like it's kind of like this seesaw where I'm like going back and forth between the two. But yeah, definitely like continuing to like love the work that like my favorite designers are doing.
Yeah. Do you find any artists that interest you?
Yeah.
Whether that be historical or like contemporary.
Yeah, definitely. Some of my favorite artists are Henry Taylor, Noah Davis, and a painter named Jamie Holmes. And Jamie Holmes actually has work, like murals, like in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you look up their work, like whenever you can or whatever, whenever we're done, you'll see that like, I don't know, just like, not that we have like the same work, but you can see that it comes from that same place.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm just super inspired by them.
Definitely. Are those all contemporary? Like, are they now?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But Noah Davis actually passed away. So yeah. But the work that he was able to, show everybody is it was super inspiring for me.
And was that something that you've discovered as you've begun to paint, or was that prior to painting?
Like after. So like in the middle of like when I started. But
once you got interested and you started to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah, because once you start getting into something, like doors start opening for you to like learn about different artists. And right off the bat, I found out about Henry Taylor, which is like my favorite artist. Yeah. I found out about him, and it was just like seeing his work, it was crazy, and I was just inspired to like keep pushing, like, because like I said, I'm like super early into what I'm doing. So like when you see the work that they do, and it's like, bro, like they work. It's just like crazy.
It's a lifetime.
Yeah,
it's a life lived.
Exactly, and they're like, well, Henry Taylor specifically is probably like 50, 60 years old. So it just inspires me to be like, when I'm that age, like, how will my work look if like I know how it looks now? So
definitely,
yeah,
it goes through. It's so, like, I feel like the artist life is so much a turmoil of like when as ideas that you had and you've painted them and you'd express them, when they start to come to a close, it's always this really interesting time for an artist, and then the next decade becomes something new for some people. I mean, some people make similar work their whole life, but like somebody like I just read a Philip Guston memoir. I don't know if you know Guston, but he had this drastic change from like being an abstract expressionist to all of a sudden bringing in figuration into his work, and it was in a similar way to you. Just it's very narrative, or his later work, but that sort of, when you read his memoir, you just see how much turmoil he was going through, and how much it was like a life lived, and how interesting that is. Like thinking of the artist's life as a body of work, like, and fully, like the breath fully released, like how that'll look for you. You know, that's got to be so. As you're just starting out, you're
it's
a year
super
in,
early, so
which is a great time to get on this podcast, right? And,
for sure, for sure.
I like that I'm documenting you right now,
early,
and then maybe we can get you in the future and see what the changes are, what's interesting you.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I'm just enjoying like the ride, and like I said, everything is just like I'm winging everything. So it's just, I want to see where it takes me within the next year or 2, 5, 10, whatever, and hopefully I'm able to triple what I'm doing now. So
definitely make bigger pieces. More. I don't
galleries.
More galleries. The work is even somehow better in some unexpected way that you don't even know now. Like, that's the most exciting thing. Definitely. I feel like is making that thing that you didn't even know you could make, but yet it is so obvious, or it's like it just changes everything. Like that one piece or whatever, or like the few pieces that document that change. I'm interested. Sure. I'm interested to see what that looks like for you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, I think that's all I got. But do you got anything else to say, or are we all good?
Yeah, we are good. We got to see where it goes from 5 years from now. We do this again. 2 years from now, we do this again, and it's hopefully is 10 times better than it is now.
Definitely. All right. Thank you. Deezy, everybody.
Thank you.